So we're here at Karahan Tepe in May 2025, and you can see the new enclosure at the top of the hill has some new features exposed. We have a bowl over there with like a little, almost like a bow tie, and the giant T-pillars flattened down here, and obviously the 7.5-foot statue right behind me, with these raised benches going around the edge here.
What I think that they were doing is viewing the rising of stars towards the north-northeast, which is the exact orientation of this new enclosure.
So it suggests there was something profound going on here, and we have to question, is this really older than Göbekli Tepe? It could well be. Here we are at Karahan Tepe in southeast Turkey. Here we have the first sign you come to, and it tells you about the Tek Mountains National Park and where all the sites are in and around the region. But now Karahan Tepe, it was for a long time one of the minor sites, is now the big attraction. So let's get up and have a close look at what's being discovered.
We're back at Karahan Tepe, somewhere that I've been coming to since 2004, when absolutely nothing was seen other than the heads of the T-pillars here and there. But now you've got this incredible, huge complex, almost like a mini city going on. We're walking to the top of the hill at Karahan Tepe. You can see these cut marks in the rock here. This is characteristic of, I would say, all of the Taş Tepeler sites. You find them, it's almost like a telltale sign. And we are gradually coming up towards some of the new enclosures that they've been working on recently. And there is a piece de resistance right at the top, which we want to show you. And you can see here, these stones are other enclosures that have not been excavated yet. I first saw these back in 2004. And very gradually they are cutting away at this really hard rocky soil to reveal incredible structures like what you see in front of you here.
So we're here at Karahan Tepe in May 2025, and you can see the new enclosure at the top of the hill has some new features exposed. We have a bowl over there with like a little, almost like a bow tie kind of carved on top of it. We have more of the enclosure behind us uncovered, and strangely the benches that go up where T-pillars would be kind of between them, they appear to raise up as they go round, and so we've got this whole different thing kind of going on here. We've got other pillars still kind of lying around in the main part of the enclosure there, and the giant T-pillars flattened down here, and obviously the 7.5-foot statue right behind me. But yeah, this is very, very interesting just to be here and see it as more and more gets exposed.
You can see here the altar area on the left, on the right side of which you've got the 7 feet tall figurine, obviously, you know, exposing his private parts. Between those pillars there you have this altar. You have the central T-pillars that have collapsed and been broken, perhaps even deliberately. But what you have here now, and they've just exposed, and this certainly wasn't there when we were there in September, is this incredible, what I would call a viewing platform up on the top. Because you have a higher level and a much lower level, and then perhaps even a lower level than that. And that platform is far too wide for it simply to be, let's say, a step or somewhere that you sit down in. To me, that is a viewing platform. And if, as the excavations continue towards the west, that platform continues, in my mind, there is absolutely no doubt that that is where you would have stood to view towards the altar. Now, obviously, we don't know whether there was or there wasn't a roof here. I'm sure the archaeologists will tell you that there was. However, what I think that they were doing is viewing the rising of stars towards the north-northeast, which is the exact orientation of this new enclosure. And the alignment that we already have is the rising of Deneb, the brightest star in the constellation of Cygnus, which in this region was seen as a vulture. And there was a vulture found right actually at the altar. You can see that today in Llanllwrfyr's Archaeological Museum. So it's almost like that vulture here represented not only the concept of a psychopomp, a soul carrier or soul accompanier, you know, that would accompany the soul from, you know, one world to the next and back again, but also it's symbolic of that celestial influence coming down, not just from the stars of Cygnus, but also from the Milky Way, because Cygnus is very prominently placed on the Milky Way, where it breaks in two to create what's known as the dark rift. And around the world, that's been seen as an entrance and exit into the sky world. Okay, right in front of me and in line towards that local hilltop where you have a farm is the axis, as far as we're aware so far, of this new enclosure. This is the axis going towards the north-northeast, and we can see that as you have this altar with the porthole stone, obviously the flat area in front of it, the plates which are clearly for offerings, and on the right of that you have this huge 7 feet 5 inch statue of the man with his privates on display, as we've seen. He probably represents some kind of divine ancestor. We also know that there was that beautiful vulture was found right actually in the altar itself, set within it, facing into the actual enclosure. Now that alignment is towards the rising of the star Deneb in the constellation of Cygnus, which was not only seen in this region as a vulture, but also it marked the entrance or exit into the sky world, because it was at this point that the Milky Way broke into two parts, divided by a dark area which we call today the dark rift.
So this is the new enclosure here at Karahan Tepe. We've looked at it around from the other side. Now we're coming around this side and you can see more detail with these raised benches going around the edge here. Andrew's been around the back there and he thinks there's a definite kind of orientation, obviously going towards the hold stone. But we've got a few other things as well. We've got like the bowl over here, we've got terrazzo down here, and you can see that the T-pillars where they are, clearly they're jammed in between these benches with no walls required to hold them up, which is an idea that I've been putting forward quite a lot recently. But the T-pillars are massive and the shape of it is hard to determine. Probably elliptical, it could have an intricate geometry, we don't know just yet, but let's see what unfolds as more of this gets uncovered here at Karahan Tepe. Just down here we've got the slabs, but also just ahead of our shadows there, Andrew's just pointed out that looks like terrazzo. So we are seeing quite a lot of that now at Karahan Tepe, and there was a report from a very long time ago of a terrazzo floor chunk being found here. So it kind of all makes sense when you start looking at everything else here. Let me know in the comments if you see anything we haven't quite spotted. We can't get any closer. Looks like the arm has been chipped off the statue, like recently. That wasn't chipped before. More stone plates there. That's down there is obviously where the vulture, the small vulture was. We've got like strange cut marks within the structure itself. We've got like a stone bowl we looked at from the other side. Yeah, we haven't seen this whole area here, we've not seen before, so this is fascinating. We just spotted this, me and Andrew have been discussing it. The very back of the platform, there's actually a kind of, within the wall itself, probably the southern entrance originally, is a niche. It's similar to what we find in the main enclosure structure, AD. So we're just here at the top of the hill in Karahan Tepe. There's a few pits that you can see that have been created to incorporate the upcoming roof. But from up here, you got quite a good view, and it just seems like, as Andrew pointed out, there's like a viewing area just coming down here. So it's pretty interesting to kind of see this from this perspective. So the other thing about Karahan Tepe, which has been noted and we've noticed in our research, is that the use of geometry in the main enclosure. Now there's good chance the geometry, it looks like there's a geometrical shape here, possibly elliptical, possibly something else, let's wait and see. But we must remember that this hill was in use long before things like any construction was made, because we've found points here that go back before the time of Göbekli Tepe. Also the use of terrazzo has been found here, and the symbolism is quite incredible. So it suggests there was something profound going on here. And we have to question, is this really older than Göbekli Tepe? It could well be. But just the other side of me, we can see the problem. They're building this giant roof over the top. We've got like the rubble that's come out of the holes they're digging for the roof. So just giving you a little report. So these are the big pits they're making for the roof, which is really depressing. So here we have some of these porthole stones segments which have been here for a very long time, part of a T-pillar there, another complete porthole here, look. And many of these stones have been here for a long time. What's behind there, that's what's being cleared out from these holes. Got structure AH just coming down here, we'll see in a moment. It's still slightly covered up. What we see there, they've actually reconstructed some of the stones. They've actually sort of put them back together. Hopefully they're going to do that all over the site. That would be really cool, because this was broken deliberately. You can see this. These were smashed up and then they were buried. But they're actually reconstructing them, which is really interesting. This is the one with the 4 T-pillars, the one with the 8 fingers on it. Look at the size of these. It's just one of the smaller enclosures, and yet these are giant pillars making up a chunk of the site. And this is where they slot the stones into curbs in the bedrock and in slabs, so it's no walls are required to hold up these T-pillars. Also, we've got a beautiful kind of arm going down the one at the back, because these are anthropomorphic, obviously, even though this one, this side, doesn't have any arms on it. What I like about this as well is that they're reconstructing it, and that's really cool, I think, because it gives you a real sense of the scale of it. It gives you a sense of the reality of it in prehistoric times, and also it clearly proves that most of this site was deliberately broken before it was kind of buried in 8 or so thousand BC. So this is really interesting. This is one of the other enclosures kind of up the hill, and you can see the shaping here. We actually mentioned this in my small wooden book, that you've got kind of irregularly placed T-pillars. Now whether these have just been shifted out of place, we don't know, but you can see they're almost like kind of all facing one another, with the porthole stone towards the north behind it. So little bits more are getting uncovered as you kind of look around the site here in May 2025. So this is a little area I've not really seen before. This is where like the chimney is, because that stone there, I've not noticed that before. It's like obviously a broken T-pillar. And then you've got another one with like carvings on the front of it. If you look a bit more closely there, you can see carvings on the right hand side of the front of that T-pillar. What that is, I don't know. And behind it, what they think is a kind of hearth. Chunks of stuff lying around. It's been here a while, but some of it is coming out of the ground. We're just down in the area now where the donkey carving, the kind of etching, was found. It's almost like a kind of walkway going into the site from pretty much the east. That is interesting. So just down there you've got the cut marks, really deep cut marks into what looks like basalt actually, not limestone. Then obviously that just leads into the main enclosure over there. So we've got another T-pillar I've not seen before just here, and that looks like it's got carvings on the front. That's just in front of the kitchen, basically, just behind it over there, and you've got like the donkey carving down here, and you've got the T-pillar just here. This is the kitchen. This is where some incredible plates, stone plates, were found. Allegedly there were viper bones found here, wolf bones and other such things. So this wasn't just a kitchen. This seems like it was an alchemical kitchen, which we talked about in one of our previous video interviews. But it's mostly covered up, but this has got benches all the way around it. And it's in a prominent part of Karahan Tepe to the east. And it's quite an impressive part of the site, considering what has been found here. So we've got quite a good view of the whole excavation area here from the east, looking kind of west. Main enclosure, the hill in the background. All these smaller enclosures coming out over this side. So this is possibly the last time we're ever going to see it without a giant roof over the top. So enjoy. This is basically it. It's all going to change the next time we're here. Hopefully it's not going to be built till after September, but they say it's going to begin to be built in June. It could take a couple of years, we really don't know. So check out this view. Enjoy that view. Absolutely beautiful place. It's got this real gorgeous energy about it. Something about it that just compels me especially because we've been coming here for so long. There was nothing here, it was just little pillars, top sticking out of the ground. So we just come round to the northern side and look, here's the stone with the nub. But also just behind it, we have another enclosure there, look, see that? So that's actually been fully revealed. And it's one of the smaller enclosures, which we believe were added later. And we've got even more over here. There's just so many. And to think that they're putting big holes into the ground now and they haven't excavated it is worrying. So that's where the two kind of holes have been cut for the, you know, we're over in the north now looking pretty much south. But look at this little thing here. I've not noticed this before. This is a little kind of, like a mini kind of shallow pit. But look, it's got the tiny little cut marks in it. Tiny little ones. Much like we find different parts as we go up the hill there. Holes in the ground. Little holes where the roof might be going. And you've got some of the upright T-pillars here actually. These are pretty cool. Just near the pillar shrine. If you notice the serpent on the front of this one. So we're just here at Karahan Tepe. We're just standing at the end of the water channel that leads into the pillar shrine of structure AB. The light in the morning is just terrific to kind of be here. And I'm just blown away. Just, you know, I feel really relaxed here for once, because I've been here at other times with Andrew and we've been told you can't take photos, you're not allowed in, you can't do that, whistles blowing. Today they just let us wander about, do whatever we want and kind of appreciate the site in its full glory, which is the way it should be. And we're here one of the last times there's going to be before a big roof is put over the top as well. So we're getting as many shots as we can to show you before that all changes, because it could be a big difference when that all happens.
We've looked at the new enclosure up the top there. They've uncovered new areas, including this incredible viewing platform, which I'm pretty certain continues into the next stage of the excavations, which is towards the west. And I've been looking at this and I'm pretty certain it's the place that you would stand to view the area of the altar and the porthole stone. And obviously you've got the big man, 7'5" feet tall on the right. You'd have had the vulture facing towards you. You got all these stone plates around the altar. I mean, to me, that's where people would have stood for something, for the rituals, maybe to see stars rising, perhaps even some kind of you know, excarnation process. Maybe even they were beheading people, you know, who had died, that were going to be put out for their bodies to, you know, for sky burial. A similar platform or similar huge block was found like that at Chayonu, and that had evidence of human blood on it, as well as oryx blood, and quite clearly some kind of activity involving human blood took place. We're not saying it took place here. Maybe it is just a viewing platform where people stood. We don't know, but at this stage you can speculate, and you know, we're going to come back here, keep coming back and find out exactly what's going on there.
Just over towards the east, there's a whole series of areas that appear like they're just starting to be excavated. You can see some T-pillars over in the distance in that rubble. So this suggests that this site stretches much further east than previously recognised. And it looks like they've started excavating there. So that's beyond the scope of where the roof's going to go as well. So we don't know if they're going to continue with that or whether they're doing a test pit or what's going on, but we can see that the enclosures continue to the east, possibly go right up to the bedrock that we see on the horizon there. So this is the new excavation. I've not seen this. Now this is just a few T-pillars sticking out the ground, but you can see this, like this whole indentation here. There's pillars there. So obviously they've done some test pits, but nothing has really been added to it. So it's amazing just to be over here on the east side of the hill. We've come down the slope, we've walked down the path and ducked out over here. There's a whole series of enclosures to the east. Amazing, I'm just blown away. So it shows you the scale of Karahan Tepe is immense. We're not just talking one area that we looked all around, but we've got this, look how much rubble is here. Just look at it all. So much rubble. That's all got to be cleared so we can see what is going on under this whole area to the east of Karahan Tepe. And I can see more over in the distance, but that's out of bounds, so I'm not going to go over there. But it's the same kind of thing, a few T-pillars. I've done some test pits here. So yeah, so it's really good to show you this, just to show you the extent and the magnitude that we have here at Karahan Tepe. So that's the T-pillar. That's the main T-pillar of this part of the excavation, which looks like it probably won't continue. That one's actually got damage on it. The one just over there. Up there we've got other pieces. Nothing major to see here, but I wanted just to show you this. That just shows you how far, I mean, look at how far away we are from the main enclosures there, the main part of the site. And the fact you've got all this rubble here, you see wherever there's rubble, that means there's stuff that's been buried. I've not been able to come up to this part before, so I'm just going to enjoy it while I can, without getting too close to anything. Stay around the edge of it, because they're watching, they've got cameras, security with guns. Oh, in fact, there's another T-pillar there, so you've got 4 T-pillars you can see just in this new excavation here. So this is it, people. We're leaving the site now. We're on 2 visits here in late May 2025. This is it. This is possibly the last chance we've got to see it without a roof. So I've done as much as I can. I've got as much on camera as possible so you can appreciate it. This will become like an archive of what it once was. So I feel sad to leave it now because I'm not going to be coming back here till September. But of course you can join us. So check out the link below if you want to come on a full Southeast Turkey and Eastern Turkey tour with us. We'll be able to see everything, plus the new discoveries will be on display. You can see our winter solstice discovery in the videos linked below, a couple of lectures we've done, and hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully we'll see you here in September. Thanks for watching, Megalithomaniacs, and we'll see you next time.